Howdy. Coming to you from the middle of nowhere, and there's no place I'd rather be. I get asked from time to time, when's my next real talk? And I wish I could just crank these out like I crank other videos out, but the truth is these really need to have something deeper behind them. They're not something that I can just crank out on a weekly basis or even monthly basis. I've got a couple of friends who have lost some loved ones over the last couple of weeks, and my heart goes out to you. You're in my thoughts and prayers, and I wish that I could do more, because thoughts and prayers don't seem like enough. So I just wanted to come out to my little spot of serenity and share it with you for a couple of minutes. So I hope that helps. And I brought with me this brand new copy of Taking Flight by Anthony de Mello, and I wanted to read a little bit out of it for you. I've mentioned on the channel several times how much I enjoyed Way of the Peaceful Warrior. It really is the book that changes lives. The book that will awaken the warrior within you. It's not like you have to cultivate your warrior. He or she is already in there. They're just sleeping. So in the book, Dan Millman refers to his mentor as Socrates because he's a smart aleck. And Socrates is an incredible blend of wisdom and wit. He has a great sense of humor, and that's actually one of his 3 rules of life: paradox, humor, and change. And I always wish that there was a real-life person like Socrates. I suppose to Dan Millman there was, but as Dan has said, he's kind of tweaked the character to make him a little more entertaining for a book. And for me personally, my Socrates is Father de Mello. I've listened to a lot of writers, a lot of speakers. A lot of them are very, very wise, but I've never encountered any that's ever been so close to Socrates in Way of the Peaceful Warrior, and actually is someone that I can see and hear. Anthony de Mello's videos are all over YouTube, his old talks, and he is just really an incredible blend of wisdom, acceptance, humor, mischievousness, playfulness, somberness, love. And I really wanted to, when I found out about this book, I really wanted to get it. And it's, if you want to pick it up yourself, it's available in ebook form, and also you can get it brand new from, I got it from Indigo Chapters in Canada. I'm sure you can pick it up anywhere in the US and across the world as well. But he spoke in parables, much like another ultimate hero. And this book is all about the importance of teaching lessons through stories. So the prologue is written by one of his students, J. Francis Stroud. And it goes, "Once upon a time there was a Jesuit spiritual teacher named Tony de Mello. He touched the hearts of people across the continents because he was so interested in life, real, vibrant, joy-filled living. His captivating stories, his warmth and humor, his insights into happiness, and the discovery of the true self all had exhilarating effect on anyone who listened to him. He went about liberating hearts, making sense out of nonsense, giving meaning to whatever spiritual path one trod. One constant spirit evident in his teaching centered not on himself, but on each of us, to bring out the guru in ourselves, to dance our own dance, to sing our own song. Tony de Mello delighted in the command, 'Be a light unto yourself.' When Tony died on June 2nd, 1987, I shouldn't have been surprised at the enormous sense of loss conveyed to me by friends and admirers all over this country and beyond. What amazed me was the personal feelings of grief and disappointment, not only from those who knew him, but also from so many who had longed to meet and hear him. One consolation I have offered to these people is the legacy of the words he left us. His last gift was the completed manuscript of the book you were about to read, reflect on, and surely profit from. In a letter to a friend, which he never had a chance to send, he described how hard he worked to finish the manuscript before coming to the USA. I wanted to write before leaving India, but it was impossible to find a spare moment. I have been working, and am still working, round the clock on the manuscript, which I am to hand over to the publisher. It truly was a labor of love. To write this prologue to Tony's last work is also a labor of love. Can you imagine what it is like to pick up a manuscript prepared by your closest of friends, collaborator, spiritual mentor, companion, after he has died, knowing this was your personal copy? With what depths of emotion I read those first pages. I had never heard the first story, The Prayer of the Frog. How characteristic of that marvelous man's spirituality, so open to life, so sensitive to the good, the beauty in everything, even the croaking of a frog. I live in a residence hall with college students, and there are times when the sounds can get, shall I say, bothersome. Never will I forget Tony's paradoxical suggestion. Try not to disturb the noise. Wonder of wonders. In the last analysis, however, Tony never taught me a thing. That is, in the sense of trying to instill in me some spiritual philosophy or way of life. All he did was encourage me to discover for myself what is real, true, beautiful in life. No better form of education, no purer spirituality. He insisted, no one will be happy. There will be no true spirituality, no real understanding, till you are free. And conversely, there will be no true freedom till you really understand. Discovering truth, understanding your real self, were synonymous for him. That is why every talk he delivered, every story he told, every laugh he caused became a force planted in the prison of your fear, ready to explode at any moment to shatter the chains of your past or the anxiety about your future as soon as you were open enough to permit it. For such as Tony de Mello, there is no death. J. Francis Stroud, S.J., De Mello Spirituality Center, Fordham University, Bronx, New York. And here's the intro by Anthony himself. Warning! It is a great mystery that though the human heart longs for truth, and he capitalized truth, in which alone it finds liberation and delight, the first reaction of human beings to truth is one of hostility and fear. So the spiritual teachers of humanity, like Buddha and Jesus, created a device to circumvent the opposition of their listeners, the story. They knew that the most entrancing words a language holds are once upon a time. That it is common to oppose a truth, but impossible to resist a story. Vyasa, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, the author of the Mahabharata, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either, says that if you listen carefully to a story, you will never be the same again. That is because the story will worm its way into your heart and break down the barriers to the divine. Even if you read the stories in this book only for the entertainment, there is no guarantee that an occasional story will not slip through your defenses and explode when you least expect it. So you have been warned. If you are foolhardy enough to court enlightenment, this is what I suggest you do. A. Carry a story around in your mind so you can dwell on it in leisure moments. That will give it a chance to work on your subconscious and reveal its hidden meaning. You will then be surprised to see how it comes to you quite unexpectedly, just when you need it to light up an event or situation and bring you insight and inner healing. That is when you realize that in exposing yourself to the stories, you are auditing a course in enlightenment for which no guru is needed other than yourself. B. Since each of these stories is a revelation of truth, and since truth, when spelled with a capital T, means the truth about you, make sure that each time you read a story, you single-mindedly search for a deeper understanding of yourself. Read it in the way one would read a medical book, wondering if one has any of the symptoms, and not a psychology book, thinking what typical specimens one's friends are. If you succumb to the temptation of seeking insight into others, the stories will do you damage. And he has a short little story to illustrate that point. So passionate was Mullah Nasruddin's love for truth that he traveled to distant places in search of Quranic scholars, and he felt no inhibitions about drawing infidels at the bazaar into discussions about the truth of his faith. One day his wife told him how unfairly he was treating her, and discovered that her husband had no interest whatsoever in that kind of truth. And de Mello's note about that story is, it's the only kind that matters, of course. Ours would be a different world indeed if those of us who are scholars and ideologues, whether religious or secular, had the same passion or self-knowledge that we display for our own theories and dogmas. He's got another short little story right here to illustrate a point. Excellent sermon, said the parishioner, as she pumped the hand of the preacher. Everything you said applies to someone or other I know. See? And instruction. The stories are best read in the order in which they are set out here. Read no more than 1 or 2 at a time. That is, if you wish to get anything more than entertainment from them. And his final note. The stories in this book come from a variety of countries, cultures, and religions. They belong to the spiritual heritage and popular humor of the human race. All that the author has done is string them together with a specific aim in mind. His task has been that of the weaver and the dyer. He takes no credit at all for the cotton and the thread. And I wholeheartedly agree about reading only 1 or 2 stories a day. I mean, that goes for anything. There can be a TV show that you really love, and binging is fun for a brand new show, especially if it ends on a cliffhanger each episode and you just burn right through it. But if you're going through some of maybe your old shows and you know what's going to happen, it's kind of hard to enjoy 65 episodes of Knight Rider or Transformers or something like that. Also applies to your favorite foods too. You might love pizza, but if you eat it every day for 60 days straight, you might not love pizza anymore. So you might pick this up and really want to burn through a bunch of these, but it just doesn't work that way. These are just, they're earworms. They really dwell in your mind. And there's something to actually meditate on, as the book is titled, a book of story meditations. So I'm going to read you the first story in here. And if you so choose, you can seek more stories by Father Anthony de Mello. So the first story goes, when Brother Bruno was at a prayer one night, he was disturbed by the croaking of a bullfrog. All his attempts to disregard the sound were unsuccessful, so he shouted from his window, "Quiet! I'm at my prayers!" Now, Brother Bruno was a saint, so his command was instantly obeyed. Every living creature held its voice so as to create a silence that would be favorable to prayer. But now another sound intruded on Bruno's worship, an inner voice that said, "Maybe God is as pleased with the croaking of that frog as with the chanting of your psalms." What can please the ears of God in the croak of a frog, was Bruno's scornful rejoinder. But the voice refused to give up. Why would you think God invented the sound? Bruno decided to find out why. He leaned out of his window and he gave the order, "Sing!" The bullfrogs, measured croaking, filled the air to the ludicrous accompaniment of all the frogs in the vicinity. And as Bruno attended to the sound, their voices ceased to jar, for he discovered that if he stopped resisting them, they actually enriched the silence of the night. With that discovery, Bruno's heart became harmonious with the universe, and for the first time in his life, he understood what it means to pray. That's one I've thought quite a bit about since I first read it, and I can't come out to a place like this anymore and not hear it anymore, not hear it all.